Well, we've been covering the charter school debate here quite a bit on this program, and we're presenting both sides. Proponents saying charter schools get better results and afford parents with more options. And last night, we spoke with someone on the other side, Maria Bautista of the Alliance for Quality Education. Here's in part what she had to say.
Our public dollars are being funneled into these privately run, publicly funded charter schools, which don't serve all children equitably, and that absolutely impacts our public education system.
All right, well, let's bring a supporter of charter schools, Joe Herrera. Joe's a parent organizer of Families for Excellent Schools, who recently had a very large rally. And you yourself, Joe, practice what you preach. You have two kids that are in charter schools, isn't that right?
Yes, that is, sir. Yes, thank you.
You heard my last guest saying that even though you guys did a rally trying to go after inequality in education, charter schools, in effect, per her argument, perpetuate just that here, and they're an attack on the public school system. How'd you respond?
I don't think that's true at all. I'm a firm believer that it's parents' job to choose and find the best educational option for the kid, to find a school that meets their child's needs. And many families have chosen to do that, including myself. I think it's ridiculous to say that my son is stealing anything from anyone. I pay taxes just as anyone else, and I chose a great school. And actually, the school that my son went to, he went in with an IEP and a learning disability. He was reading 2 years below reading level. Within 3 months, he moved up 1.5 years in reading level. Today, he has no IEP, and he's overcome a learning disability. I think that my tax dollars are actually going to great use and hasn't taken away anything from any child, but has provided my son with a great education.
You'd hear an argument, and I'm playing devil's advocate in this argument, Joe, from someone who say, look at you. You're the poster child of a motivated parent here who's not only looking out for their kids, but are really doing something about it. Only kids who've got parents like you who are really motivated, a lot of kids, whether they're ESL, whether they have developmental disabilities, they're going to be left behind at schools that now have had the cream of the crop pulled aside and now going to charter schools, and there's even less funding in struggling schools to begin with. In effect, charter schools make a bad situation even worse for public schools. What would you say to that?
Well, I mean, I got a flyer in the mail. It wasn't really, I went to the public schools in my community as a child. You know, I grew up in these same traditional public schools, and I was putting my children through these same schools. I got a flyer in the mail that said, hey, Coney Island Prep is the first and only charter school opening in your community. I didn't know anything about charter schools at the time. I took a shot. It's not that I am from an affluent or I'm any more engaged than a lot of other parents. I really was just stuck between a rock and a hard place. I got a flyer in the mail, and I actually took a chance, didn't know what the school was going to be or what charter schools were about, but I knew what wasn't working for my son. And I think all families need to be provided that chance. We have 40,000 families right now who are trying to exercise their school choice, but we have a cap in New York State that caps these opportunities for these families.
The part of this that it drives me crazy is, in effect, you're pitting public schools against charter schools because they're all fighting for the same buck at the end of the day. Is there a way that the two, in your estimation, can coexist better without feeling that one's robbing Peter to pay Paul?
Well, you know, who's pitting public schools against charter schools? You have to look at who's pitting these, because really, when it comes to parents don't care about public, parochial, public schools, district schools, charter schools. What we want is the best education for our children. It's up to our elected leaders to really, not create a great school system, but create a system of great schools where families can exercise their school choice and not be held responsibly or be punished for choosing a public charter school as an option for their children.
Hey, finally, before I let you go, Joe, it was very clear from the rally, not a lot of fans in that rally from Mayor DeBlasio. Are you and others disappointed that he hasn't done enough as it relates to school choice?
You know, I am. When you here in New York City, we have mayoral control. Means you are accountable to uplift the education system. Right now, we have 478,000 kids trapped in failing schools. Nearly 500,000 kids are going to underperforming schools, and our mayor is not coming up with no bold action to address this inequality in our school system. Out of the 478,000 kids, majority of them are Black and Hispanic children in low-income communities. I think the mayor has had a lot of proposals, but a lot of promises, but has really failed to meet those promises. We would love for the mayor to take bold action to transform the education system for our children now, not in 3 years or 5 years and 10 years, but right now.
Well, we'll continue to follow this debate here. Joe, I appreciate a few minutes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
And we want to get you involved in our conversation as well. So head over to Facebook and Twitter and sound off on our question today. The same one that we posed to you yesterday when we got the other side of the debate. Charter schools, are they a good option or do they harm public schools? Now coming up next, well, as you all know, Mets, they're in the World Series for the first time in 15 years, aiming for their first title since the immortal '86 team. Game 1 versus KC later tonight, and our CJ Papa hosts our 501 special World Series preview special coming up next.